Hello and welcome to Football Manager 2016. My name's Phil, and today I'm going to take you through a tactic I've been using to some success within Football Manager 16. So in this version of the game, I wanted to try out something a little bit different to what I normally do. Normally I very much try and play a direct style of football, counter-attacking, that kind of style, and this time I wanted to go for a more passing and possession style. My team of choice was Valencia from Spain. I wanted to try it in a different league as well to just the Premier League. I will probably try this tactic out in the Premier League, see how it works out, but to start off with I thought I'd try it against this kind of Spanish style, which is typically a more passing and possession type anyway. So I'll take you through to the tactics. So here we go. Currently at the minute we've got it as a kind of what's technically called a 5-3-2 with wing backs. Now the reality of it when it actually gets on the pitch is something a bit different, and it's also pretty versatile too. So you have your two strikers up here. I haven't found it matters too much how you go with the actual kind of role they play. So long as you have kind of one slightly deeper, one attacking, I find works out best. Midfield, this also varies quite a lot as well. Now currently I have the two kind of more central midfielders, more kind of sitting support, and then a more attacking midfielder. But the reality is that they can actually go across the line there, or even I've played many games with one just sitting in front of the defence there as well. I find weirdly enough that the more attacking is suited to away games, and the more kind of defensive is suited more to the home games, simply because home games your players will get up the pitch more anyway, so this attacking won't actually be kind of there, it will be more kind of around here, whereas in the away games it helps to have somebody linking up with the strikers. In terms of roles, it doesn't really matter too much. I've played around a bit. Obviously you need a playmaker, and that playmaker's got to be really good, because they're going to have the ball a lot and they're going to be passing it about, and if they can't pass then you're in trouble basically. Also I find having either a box-to-box or some sort of ball-winning midfielder is very useful as well. If you're playing with somebody down here, then ball-winning, I have played a fair few games with a register, so having my playmaker here instead of here, which has worked out very well as well. It seems to be quite a versatile formation, which works out well because I found in this iteration of Football Manager, more than any, you need to have some sort of fluidity to your tactics, or else the computer will catch on pretty quickly as to what your kind of weaknesses are. So it does help to switch it about a little bit, and it also helps with squad rotation as well. You may have some players who play very well in this role but perhaps don't so much in the kind of more central or attacking role, and it helps to kind of rotate your squad, keep things a bit fresher there as well. So the central midfield, that's the kind of the central midfield roles as it were. The wing backs are really where it's at. If you may have watched my video from, I think it was the 2014 Football Manager, I played a very similar formation to this with the wing backs, but it was a direct counter-attacking style. This is different. The wing backs still have a very important role though, so they play more as wingers, to be completely honest with you. So they're playing more kind of around here than they are actually down here. Obviously when you're in defence it's useful because they come back, but they're playing very much here. I have them set to an attacking, so wing back attack, they both are, and I generally find their average position is kind of around here. So you're kind of playing with a five-man midfield, even though it says, you know, five-man defence. Obviously this means your wing backs need to be very good, because they are one of the kind of main focal points of the team. I've got a couple of very good ones here, and they get a lot of assists, heading, crossing, not just heading from crosses, that is actual kind of I play with mixed crossing, so often they'll hit ones along the ground, they hit ones kind of body height, you know, heading as well. So you don't necessarily have to have a really good header up front to make the use of them. It does help obviously if one of your players is a good header, but not necessarily key. And then at the back you have the three central defenders, I usually like to play with one of them as a ball-playing defender. You might say, well, why don't you play as three of them if you're trying to go for a more kind of controlling passing game? And the reason is I've tried that and they tend to just hit long balls, to be completely honest with you. So if you actually keep them back as either central, or in the case of some of them it may be limited, they actually tend to pass it shorter, which is what I want. I want them to play it out from defence and pass it shorter to my midfield or wing backs, and then build from there, because they're the ones who have got the main passing. Obviously it helps to have good passing stats on every single player on your team if you're going to play a passing game, but not just that, but creativity as well, technique, those sorts of things are important, as well as just an overall work rate. I'll go into that a bit later, but work rate is and teamwork is very important if you're going to play this sort of style of football. In terms of the keeper, sweeper keeper I've gone for. The reason being, as you'll see in a minute, I play with a very high defensive line, so it's good to have a player who can come off the line quickly, sweep up any sort of loose balls, do that sort of thing. Works out pretty well. So that's the general gist of the formation. If we go into the let's have a look at the mentality first. So I play control. I've never ever been able to play control before in any of my tactics. It's just never worked. But as you can see, this one is more about maintaining possession. So as it says here, patiently probing the final third. Players maintaining possession. I find attacking, it can work if I'm trying to chase a couple of goals, or a goal or something like that late on. It can work, but I generally tend to default to control and standard if I'm trying to play against a team who I'm unsure of, shall we say, a bit more than control. But control is my default one. It seems to work very well when you're playing passing possession football, as it is kind of intended to. So that's the way I go. In terms of my team shape, I go flexible. I've tried with fluid, I've tried with structured. I haven't gone to the extremes of very or highly, but I tend to find just flexible just tends to keep the shape of this. I mean, that's fairly important. I don't want my strikers going out wide when I've got my wing backs kind of rampaging. I don't want people going away, but I don't want them to kind of feel constricted in where they're playing. I want the wing backs to get up the pitch. I want the midfielders to get up the pitch as well, and do that. So I find flexible tends to work out for the best. In terms of team instructions, so we play at a much lower tempo. That's obviously very different to how I normally personally play. I usually play at kind of a higher, sometimes even a much higher tempo, get the ball very quickly up the pitch, play the counter-attacking. But in this game, what I'm trying to do is, as you see here, close down. So close down much more. My defensive line is very high, so I want my players to be right up touching the halfway line. If we lose possession in their half, I want us to get it back quickly, and then I want us to hold the ball, patiently pass it around, and keep possession, because the idea of possession football is the more you have the ball, the less chances your opposition is going to have to score, and the more chances you're going to have to score. So yeah, kind of works out well. Width, in terms of width, I've gone balanced. Sometimes I've gone fairly wide or even wide, if I really want to emphasise the wing backs on there as well. So there's different choices there depending on how you want to go, but balance is usually generally okay. I haven't used the offside trap, but I do tend to get a fair few offsides, so I guess that's personal preference there really. Play it out of defence. Always, I don't want them to clear it long, basically. I want them to try and pass it out, get possession. I don't want them to just pump it up the pitch. In past, I probably have wanted them to do that, because you may have a striker or a quick winger up the top and you want them to counter-attack quickly. But in this one, I want them to try and gain control of the ball, retain possession. Shorter passing, definitely, as low as it can go, basically. If it could go any lower, I'd hit it there. You want it short. You don't want to be hitting long balls. Now, ironically, I'll show some match footage in this. They do still hit longer balls, but I think that's more to do with the team shape than it is to do with the actual tactic, as it were. So what you'll find fairly often is you'll find, say, a wing back here or a midfielder on the left side. Your right wing back will have acres of space, and then they'll hit a ball across to them. Now, I don't mind that so much. I'm not looking for them to only hit 5-yard balls. I don't mind that. But what I don't want is, people just whacking long balls up top, that sort of thing. It's not the tactic I'm going for here. In terms of attack, so always looking for the overlap on the wing backs. I really want them to get up. I have toyed around with work the ball into the box. You'll see, I'll show you some match stats, and we do tend to have a lot of shots. So I tried to go with work ball into the box to try to make sure our chances were kind of built up. But I tend to find we turn into a bit like Arsenal there, where we're just playing it around the box a bit too much. And I think in general I'd rather have sort of 10-15 shots a game than have sort of 5. I generally find if you have more skillful players, then those 10-15 shots are more likely to be converted, whereas if you have perhaps not so skillful players, then perhaps you'd be better off working the ball into the box. Mixed crosses I find works very well, as I've said before. Crossing is the main assist in this. I'll show you the stats on that in a bit, but they're the guys who are these guys are getting the ball into the box and doing the damage. And it's not just headers, as I say. Heading is obviously works very well, and I've got a big forward in Negredo who can head the ball very well, but it's not always about that. So that's as it is. As always, I'll have the tactic as a download available in the description if you're interested in trying it out for yourself, so you don't have to keep it paused on this page and copy and all that sort of thing. So how well is this tactic done? So currently I'm in my second season and I'm top of the league after 13 games. I haven't lost yet. Last season I won the league and the Spanish Cup. I lost one game in the entire league season, 3-2 to Real Madrid, and they had 3 shots on target. It was very much the Ronaldo show, and sometimes you have to hold your hands up and say, we were beaten by a better team that day. We'd already won the league. I was probably not really concentrating too much, and that's why it was frustrating. I would like to have gone the whole season unbeaten in the league, but it's a very tough thing to do. So I'm not too disappointed to have lost just one match and for it to have been to Real Madrid. But generally, we were exceptionally solid. And this season, as you can see, our goal difference here is plus 25. We score a lot. We don't concede a lot. All round, very, very good. If we go to, I think, team overall, you can see we have the best average possession in the league, and the least conceded. So 13 games, we've conceded 2 goals, 11 clean sheets, which is pretty good. Now, it's not necessarily to say this is defensive tactic at all. We do score goals. We are very attacking. We have possession. I think passes completed, we're second in there. We're equal basically with Barcelona, so it's very much about the kind of the passes there. Most goals, and we're equal on most goals as well. So as you can see, least conceded, most goals. That's how you win the league. Pretty simple. So one of the weird things about it is I generally find we don't have the most passes. Even though we have the highest possession, the highest passing percentage, we haven't actually played the most passes, which I do find fascinating and something which I'm working on. But as you can see, we've played 4,800, whereas Rayo 5,500, Real Sociedad 5,500. They're playing 100 extra passes than us in a game, which I find quite fascinating. I don't know quite why that is, but it's something I'm looking at and trying to refine it. I'm not necessarily saying that the more passes are better. I mean, Rayo and Real Sociedad are not, having great times in the league at the minute. They're kind of towards the bottom, both of them. So it's not necessarily the right way to go, but it's just interesting for me to see how that goes. So as I say, last season we won the league, we won the cup. We did okay in the Champions League as well. In my group stages, I had Bayern, and Lyon, and some team who I cannot pronounce. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. We pretty much we qualified top of that group, I believe. This is this season. We did lose to Bayern though. That was my first defeat with this. No disgrace to lose to Bayern, especially away. Good side. I met them later on as well. In the knockout stages, we lost 2-1 to Chelsea in the away leg, but then we beat them 4-1 at home, which was a great result. We lost to Bayern on away goals in the quarter-final, which was very, very unlucky. We played much, much better football. They did have us on possession, but shots, it was pretty close, to be honest with you. Both had one clear-cut chance. They didn't overrun us, which they did in that first game, to be fair. So I'd tinkered a little bit with the tactic. I think I played... how did I play in the first game with them? Let's have a look. So let's show me my... where are we? Formations. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I played kind of deeper there, and I think in the second leg, in the second set of games I played against them, I moved that position up there. So that tended to work a bit better. As you can see, it looks like they're playing very defensively, same way as me, but actually what you'll find is they were very high, we were very high, and overall it was a good game. But we had the possession, 55%, but we just didn't have the chances. They had the chances, and fair enough, they beat us there. So yeah, where the Spanish Cup as well did very well. Had not really too many issues in it, to be honest with you. We beat Real Madrid on away goals. That was probably the toughest game, as you would imagine. It was good to beat them. So yeah, well, overall pretty good season, I think. And then this season as well, doing very, very well so far in the Champions group. Lost to Schalke away, which wasn't great. Still had good possession, good chances. Sometimes it just doesn't go for you, basically. We had a red card, they had a red card. It's just one of those matches. You will get those matches. I don't think there's any team who will go the entire season, win every match, go there. I've had a few 0-0s this season. Perhaps against Sevilla and Real Madrid away is not disgraceful. Levante away, it's not great, but as you can see, a lot of my other games, very good. 3-0s, flying in, basically, left, right and centre. And we got our revenge on Schalke, 4-0 when we played them at home. I think it was probably a little bit better on the old stats. 63% possession, 22 shots, 8 on target against their 2. You can't argue with that when you play against top teams, really. And I think if I show you another match here against Barcelona, we beat them 2-0. And if I remember rightly, 61% possession against Barcelona. They didn't have a shot on target. We had 5, 19 shots in total. So as you can see, this tactic's working very, very well. An average rating of 7.5 against their 6.7. Just overall very, very, very strong tactic, both in defence and in attacking as well. So yeah, let me know what you think. If there's anything you want to see on here. The only thing I can probably show you now is if we go to the analysis, you can see, so I've changed about the tactic, as I was saying before, a few different times. Perhaps this one's not working quite so well as I'd like it to, but certainly the 5-3-2 wing back's working very well, as is the 5-2-1-2 as well. And yeah, just doing very, very well. If we look at goals here, you can show you when we're scoring goals. So one of the things which I've also concentrated on with this team is in the training, as a team training, fitness high, and I've seen that paying off very, very well when it comes to scoring late goals and not conceding late goals as well, which is also important. So as you can see, we've scored from the 60th minute, we've scored 31 goals and conceded 5, which is really, really solid. Helped us out a lot, definitely, and you can tell it's the kind of fitness of our team. It's important to have players in your team who have very high stamina, just good stamina, good fitness, as well as all the technical abilities as well. One thing I would say is, I think I've had before where I've played with wingbacks, people have said, oh, it's very difficult, to find, decent wingbacks. It's super tough to, there's not many of them about, and some of them do cost a lot of money. And I mean, Valencia, it's good because they start with two fantastic ones. Ngaya, who is clearly world class, and if you can buy him at any club you're at, you should, because he is phenomenal. He had 18 assists in the league last season, played at 7.98, which is phenomenal. And then Cancelo as well, who is also doing fantastically well. He had 18 assists as well, 7.88. So as you can see, having good players, very, very important. You can see they excel in the areas they need to: the acceleration, the pace, the crossing, dribbling. They're wingers almost rather than wing backs, but they can defend as well when needed. But also, if you look at Kenny Tete, who I got from Ajax, I got him for 2.8 million. He's played fantastically well when he's needed to. He's basically backup for when the wing backs get suspended or injured, or I just need to rest them, and they will get suspended, by the way. They pick up a lot of yellows, I've found out there. Don't tend to get sent off, but will pick up a yellow. I think if I look at Guy this season, does it show me yellows? Yeah. So he's played 11 games in the league and got 7 yellows. So it does tend to pick up the yellows. So you do need to have backup. But I mean, these guys I have as backup, they didn't cost me a lot. I think Desigali, 775,000. He's paid at 7.42. Been very solid when he's come in as well. If you can drop these guys in for the easier matches, rest your guys for the bigger games, or when they get suspended or whatever, then you still do very well. And as I say, these guys were cheap, and I got them in as backup as well. You don't necessarily have to spend 30 million on a wing back. But it helps. And obviously, for midfield as well, Valero was another guy I signed. Teamwork, work rate, technique, passing. This is the things you need. Flair, first touch, composure. This is what you need for guys who are going to be able to control the ball in midfield, which is super important. And in terms of our goals scored as well, you can see the sort of areas. We're not scoring too many from outside the area. It is, even though, as I say, I'm not generally going for work the ball into the box, but it's a lot to do with crosses as well. If we go for goal assists, you'll see crossing 34. If I show the locations, you'll see on the sides here you've got obviously the wings, very, very important. Crossing, hugely important, but it's not necessarily just headers. 21 headers, but you can see the place shot is the main goal we're scoring here. So the crossing isn't just about heading, it is also about kind of chest height, or low along the ground, that sort of thing, and players just kind of smashing it in from there. One overhead kick, very proud of that. I think it won goal of the season as well. That was Negredo. Through balls as well, important, especially when you're playing with kind of the more advanced central midfielder. He can slip it through. I tend to find, I think now especially, because teams are more wary of me because I've won the league and I've got a better reputation, they are sitting back a lot more, and to be honest with you, that just plays into my hands really. We don't tend to get counter-attacked too much. Occasionally we'll do, but any team probably will do there, even though we have such a high line, and it just kind of works in our favours if teams are going to sit back against us as well. So it seems to be going very well. Let me know if you try it out, how it goes for you, and I'd love to hear. So hopefully you'll try it out, and thanks for watching today.